quick tutorial on how to get your pictures into Photoshop and how to do some basic editing. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to locate Photoshop. So in this little rocket ship here, you're going to look for PS Photoshop. You're going to take this and you're going to drag it down to your taskbar down here at the bottom. All right, once it's in the taskbar down here, you are going to close this up. You're going to open up Chrome. You're going to launch your Google Drive and you're going to locate the pictures that you want to download from your drive. You're going to double click on that picture. You're going to click on the little download arrow like this, and it's going to send it to your download folder, which is down here on the taskbar, right? And this is showing me everything that's in my download folder right there. All right, so I can temporarily put this away. All right, then what you're going to do is don't drag this folder, that's a no-no. Click on the folder, find the image here, and drag this over on top of your Photoshop icon like this, and that will automatically start up Photoshop, just like so. All right, so we just wait a minute, it starts to load up. And we're waiting. There we go. Perfect. All right. I can drag this corner down here, make it a little bigger. Or I can hit the green button here, and it'll fill my screen. All right. So here's my image inside Photoshop. Now remember, up here at the top, we have File, Open, Close, Save, Save As. We have Edit. We have Copy, Paste, all that different stuff over here. Down here, I have my toolbar. Up here is the preferences for my toolbar. So if I click on these different tools, you'll see the way those preferences change there. Like so. You'll also notice if I let my mouse rest on top of this toolbar, it tells me what the different tools sort of do, the basics. Then the other thing you want to look at is over here on the right. I see my layers menu, I see properties, I see all these windows here. Those windows are available here. You can see layers has a check mark next to it, properties has a check mark next to it. When I unclick layers, layers disappears. When I go back to window and I click layers, layers reappears over here. So we want that layers menu to be showing. If you see something over here that says learn and it's sort of annoying, just go to window and unclick learn and that will disappear. All right, now to zoom into your picture a little bit, I can hit Command key on my keyboard and say plus, or I can say minus. All right, so I can make that a little bigger or smaller. It's not changing the size of my picture, it's just zooming in. All right, then what we're going to do is just a couple of simple adjustments today, nothing too fancy. So number one, I'm going to adjust the quality of my picture. Now, if I go to my black and white cookie here and I choose levels, that's the adjustments I'm going to make. I can see that it puts a layer right on top of my background layer like this. So that means everything underneath this levels layer is going to be affected by the changes that I'm going to make. And here I'm going to pull these little guys over here like this, and I can change the darkness, I can change the lightness, and I can change the midtones here. I can see what it looks like without it by clicking the eyeball, what it looks like with it. All right? So that's good to know. If you don't see this properties window down here, you can either go to window and show properties, or if you click on this little icon here, see the way I can select between both of these? Make sure you've actually clicked on the little icon over here, and then you can see it. All right, so that's what you're going to do. So first of all, you're just going to adjust your contrast and your levels so that the picture looks really nice, right? You're going to increase the color saturation a little bit, the intensity of it so that it looks good. Now, the second thing we're going to do is if I go to image and image size here, I can see, right now it's showing me pixels, 5,000 by 3,000 pixels here approximately, 3,500 pixels. But look at the image size, it's 51 megabytes. That's way too big to do anything with. And if you load it into Schoology, that's why it takes forever for Schoology to load those images. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it. So first of all, let's think about this in inches. So we think about a piece of paper, right? A regular piece of paper is 8.5 by 11 inches. And then the resolution is how many dots per inch, how good that picture looks. So right here I can see 72 inches is way too big. That's almost 6 feet and 48 inches, or it is 6 feet, and 48 inches is 4 feet. So this is 6 by 4. And then the resolution is 72 pixels per inch, which is too low for us if we're going to print this thing out. So I'm going to cancel this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the cropping tool here. In the cropping tool, you can see it already made a little pre-box right here. I'm going to drop down the preferences for my cropping tool, and I have all these choices. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select W times H times resolution, which stands for width times height times resolution. And I'm going to put in 8 inches for one of the dimensions, and I'm going to put 10 inches in for the other. Now, the problem with this is you can see here, if I want it to be vertical or horizontal, I just flip-flop this arrow here, right? And then I'm going to go 150 pixels per inch, which is a pretty standard for a good print. If you want a really fine print for an art show, you might do 300 pixels per inch. And 72 pixels per inch is for when it's just going to be on the screen. Now, back to this, sorry. You can see I'm flip-flopping the orientation of my cropping here. I can go 8 by 10 this way, or I can go 10 by 8 this way. Now, all that means is that everything inside this box is going to be 8 inches by 10 inches. Now, if you see horizontally, I'm losing a little bit of my picture on the side here. So I can either center this picture and chop off this extra black that I don't need, or I could make this 12 inches here, and I could get my whole picture. Now, the only reason I use 8 by 10 is because that's a standard frame size, right? Remember that from our photograms. So, 8 by 10 is just the way that I roll here, right? So I can move this over like this. If I want to change this up and work with my rule of thirds, I can go like this and just make sure that this part is in the picture down here, and let's put this hand sort of in the rule of thirds like that. I can rotate this a little bit if I want to change it around like so. So let's say I want to do this with rule of thirds. Now, once you make a change of any sort in Photoshop, you're going to see these two guys over here, no or yes. No, if I click no, it resets me back to 0. Oops, sorry. It sets me back to 0. Let me rotate this again. If I say yes, it accepts the changes, and then here I am. And again, don't panic that it got smaller. I'm just going to say Command plus again, and I can zoom in. Now here you can say rotate, and I got this horrible little white piece down here. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to rotate this way, and I'm going to make this a vertical composition. And I'm going to just bring that up inside like that. And maybe I'll bring it over this way just a little bit, thinking rule of thirds, and I'm going to say check. There we go. So that's my final picture. So that looks great. So then when I'm all set, I have a layer on here now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say File, and I'm going to say Save As. Now, the two things you need to remember is if you are completely finished with this assignment and you are not worried about saving anything else and you're just going to turn in and you're all set to go, you're going to go to Format, and you're going to say JPEG, right? So that's going to be here, and yours might actually look like this. This is the collapsed window here. So you're going to say JPEG right here. Here, we're going to say where. I'm going to say on my desktop. So I want to save this on my desktop, right? And then don't worry about all this other stuff down here. Then I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call it, Laser Hands. All right. Saved on my desktop, JPEG format. I'm going to hit save. This is just the compression for the JPEG. I'm going to say large file is fine. I'm going to say OK. So now if I look at my desktop and I see right here it says Laser Hands, then I'm going to bring my Chrome back up here. I'm going to go back to my page here. I'm going to take Laser Hands and I'm going to drop it back into my Google Drive. So now from this Google Drive, I can go to my Schoology, my Talent, or my Notability. I can go and turn this into the media album and to Schoology on my iPad, right? So you're pretty much done. Now, Photoshop, when you put layers on something, it automatically wants to make it a Photoshop file. So if I go to save, it's going to ask me to make it a Photoshop file. This is a .psd file. And what that means, Laser Hands, is if I go to my desktop, here, let's go desktop. There you are. Sorry, it took me a second. What this is going to do is it's going to save a file that Photoshop can open, and it will retain all these layers. So watch the difference here. So I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to close this window out of here, and I'm going to minimize this. Let's get rid of this guy too. All right, so here I'm going to take Laser Hands JPEG and watch what happens when I open the JPEG. All right, I open this up. No layers over here, right? It's just a flat image, and it's the final image that it is. If I take Laser Hands Photoshop and I open it in Photoshop, it's the one that has layers. So this one, no layers. Photoshop has all my layers in it. So make sure you understand the difference between those two. The JPEG is for turning it in for the final assignment. The Photoshop document is the one that has two separate layers on it here, or however many layers or whatever it is that you're doing your picture. You can go back and rework it again. That's all I got. Good luck. Have fun. Take care. Bye.